You are welcome once again to Bio 211D Plant Physiology Unit 1, Session 4, Light Dependent Phase of Photosynthesis. And by the close of this session, you should be able to explain the photosystems, outline the processes that constitute the light dependent phase of photosystem or photosynthesis, give account of the electron transport system, draw a schematic diagram of the light dependent phase, and list the product of the light dependent phase of photosynthesis. The light dependent reactions take place on the thylakoid membranes. The thylakoid membrane contains some integral membrane protein complexes that catalyze the light reactions. There are four major protein complexes in the thylakoid membrane: photosystem 2, PS2, cytochrome BF6 complex, photosystem 1, and ATP synthase. These four complexes work together to ultimately create the products adenosine triphosphate and reduce adenosine diphosphate, NADPH. Energy capturing and energy transformation. The light dependent reactions of photosynthesis consist of three main events. 1. The primary event of photosynthesis. Here, a chlorophyll molecule absorbs a photon of light which excites or energizes one of its electrons. 2. Charge separations. A primary electron acceptor removes the energized electron, so it becomes negative and leaves a positively charged chlorophyll molecule. By creating separate positive and negative centers, the system has effectively made a minute battery and an energized electron capable of moving from one center to the other. Phosphorylation. This is the stage of transformation. The energized or excited electron travels through an electron transport system in the thylakoid membrane. This generates ATP. Now, ATP synthesis in photosynthesis is called photophosphorylation. The electron can take a cyclic pathway which generates only ATP, or a non-cyclic pathway which also reduces NADP to NADPH, using water as the ultimate reducing agent. We would look at the electron transport system in some detail soon, but first some detail about how light energy is captured. Which other cell organelle is the site for ATP production? The light dependent reactions require the participation of two photosystems. The photosystems are called photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Both photosystems contain pigment molecules that are part of a light harvesting antenna, like your TV antenna, which you carefully mount and position in a particular direction so that it can pick up the desired signals. In the same way, the leaves of a plant are positioned or orientated leaf mosaic so that the photosystem antenna can collect or harvest as much solar energy as possible. The chlorophyll molecules and the carotenoid molecules are the pigment molecules in an antenna. One chlorophyll A molecule, which is special, is called the reaction center chlorophyll molecule. As shown in the diagram, an antenna is made up of several hundred chlorophyll and carotenoid molecules plus a reaction center chlorophyll A molecule. A photon of light energy absorbed is passed on from molecule to molecule, as shown by arrows, until it reaches a reaction center chlorophyll A molecule. Thereafter, energized electrons are passed on to an acceptor molecule. Photosynthesis begins when the antenna of each photosystem absorbs photons of solar energy and passes the energy on to the respective reaction center. The reaction center chlorophyll A or photosystem 1 antenna absorbs light that has wavelength in the region of 700 nanometers. As such, it is called P700 or pigment 700. The reaction center chlorophyll A molecule of the photosystem 2 antenna absorbs light of shorter wavelength and therefore of higher energy in the region of 680 nanometers. This reaction center, as you may well guess, is called pigment 680. So photosystems, chlorophyll and other pigments are found clustered next to one another in a photosystem. Energy passes rapidly from one chlorophyll pigment molecule to another. So you have light energy, you have photosystem, then the antenna, then you have the in the thylakoid membrane, electron acceptor, then you have the reaction center all occurring. The photosystems, to summarize what we have said about photosystems and energy capture, we would say this: in a photosystem, the light collecting antenna absorbs solar energy and transmits it to a reaction center chlorophyll A molecule, which then passes energized electrons to an acceptor molecule. So the two photosystems are protein complexes that absorb photons and are able to use this energy to create an electron transport chain. Photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 are very similar in structure and function. They use special proteins called light harvesting complexes to absorb the photons with very high effectiveness. If a special pigment molecule in a photosynthetic reaction center absorbs a photon, an electron in this pigment attains the excited state and then is transferred to another molecule in the reaction center. What are these acceptor molecules? To find out, let us turn our focus now on the electron transport system. So photosystem, the light energy is converted to chemical energy through photosystem 1 and 2. So you have steps 1, 2, 3, 4. And in that order, light coming in hits photosystem 2. That's in the thylakoid membrane. Then inside of the thylakoid membrane, the electron transport chain, the primary electron acceptor that moves through to photosystem 1. Then light also hits through the thylakoid membrane in step 4. You have a primary electron acceptor moving the electron transport chain through to where you have NADP plus being reduced to NADPH, and that is step 5. So the electron transport system, there are two electron pathways during the light phase of photosynthesis, and these are: 1, the non-cyclic electron pathway NCEP, and the cyclic electron pathway CEP. The NCEP produces ATP and NADPH, whilst the CEP, that's the cyclic electron pathway, produces only ATP. So let us study the figure carefully. It will help us understand or follow the electrons as it sets free from the chlorophyll. So you realize that light coming in, and just as we discussed, you have photosystems 2, where you have excited chi, that is where energy is absorbed and it goes through the processes, and we have all the processes that it actually goes through. Then it moves to photosystem 2, where photosystem 1, where the pigment for excitement is 700, for absorption 700, and it moves through all the stages to the electron transport system. First, let's consider the NCP, that's the non-cyclic electron pathway. In the diagram, you can see that even through the two photosystems absorb sunlight at the same time, it is easier to describe what is taking place in a step-by-step manner, as if the events begin with photosystem 2. So here, follow the steps. Step 1, as pigment 680 absorbs solar energy, left lower electrons become energized. As such, they leave the thylakoid bound chlorophyll A molecule. The empty shell left behind in the molecule is filled by electrons that come from the splitting of water. The energy for the splitting of water comes from sunlight, so the process is called photolysis. So that is water being split into its various components. So you have H2O, you have 2H plus 2 electrons plus half of oxygen, and the oxygen is given off into the atmosphere. The oxygen gas that is freed is a gas given off as a byproduct of photosynthesis. 2, the electrons that leave the pigment 680 are received by an acceptor molecule that sends them to an electron transport system that consists of a series of carriers that are bound to the thylakoid membrane. Some of the carriers are cytochrome molecules, cytochrome BF6 complex. So the electron transport system is also called the cytochrome system. High energy electrons are delivered to the system and lower energy electrons leave it. So as electrons are passed on from one cytochrome molecule to another, energy is released, which is used to produce adenosine triphosphate, that's ATP. So ADP plus P plus energy giving us ATP. Electrons are picked up by the pigment 700 reaction center chlorophyll A molecule of PS1 photosystem 1 as they leave the cytochrome BF complex system. As a result of the antenna also receiving solar energy, the electrons are boosted to their highest energy level, and so they jump from the reaction center to an acceptor that passes them on to NADP. The NADP also combines with hydrogen ions from the stroma to form NADPH. The acceptor is usually a ferrodoxin, NADPH plus 2 electrons plus hydrogen, giving us NADPH. These three sets of events, which we have just talked about, constitute the non-cyclic photophosphorylation stage. The process is so named because it's possible to trace electrons in one-way direction from water to NADPH, and also because energy from the sun is used to produce ATP. The non-cyclic electron pathway produces both ATP and NADPH, which are used in the stroma to reduce carbon dioxide. Oxygen is released as a byproduct. The second electron pathway in chloroplast is the cyclic electron pathway. So look at the diagram again. You can see that electrons leave P700 and then eventually return to it. The dotted line, yes, you are right. Before returning to the pigment 700, the electrons pass down the cytochrome system. In the process, ATP is produced. The pathway is called cyclic photophosphorylation. Only ATP is produced during cyclic phosphorylation. There is no formation of NADPH. So the electron transport system. Why is the process called cyclic photophosphorylation? The cyclic electron pathway utilizes only photosystem 1 and produces only ATP. The net reaction of all light-dependent reactions in photosynthesis is 2 molecules of water, 2 NADP plus 3 ADP plus 3 Pi, giving us oxygen plus 2 NADPH plus 3 ATP. So in here you have a wonderful diagram, the energy level, the sun, electron acceptor, photosystem 2, and it moves in that direction towards electron transport system. It hits photosystem 1, and in the thylakoid membrane you have water, you have carbon dioxide. The reactions are taking place. You have ADP, NADPH being and carbon cycle. You have the stroma. In the stroma you have the carbohydrate, and it moves on and it's cyclic. Carbon dioxide, CHO. That is why this is referred to as the CE.